she only came once.
Yeah.
In person, and I know she's transcribed meetings that she hadn't been part of. I feel like the first one maybe was April, but March we definitely canceled, right? That was because of it. Did we cancel one? And I'm pretty sure it was March. Do we know for a fact yet this time? I haven't heard that she wasn't, so I assume she was coming.
So you good?
I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah, I
We are unmuted and.
Evening is July 11th, 2023. This commission meeting, it's beginning at 7:11 p.m. I'd like to start with a motion to approve the agenda for today. Yes.
Just tonight, I apologize, I forgot to, email you. Just the agenda for discussion, regarding, interview of prospective dispatcher.
Want to add that to the executive session?
No, just today,
Okay. Find them in the session.
I need to adjust the modified rate. Second.
And close. People add that. Why don't we do that right after the public input? Has everyone received the agenda for today? Motion to approve the agenda for today. All in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, next we'll move on. For the meeting, we realized there was a few minutes that because we were transitioning to a new secretary, that we have not posted. So I sent everyone minutes for February, May, and June. Has everyone had the opportunity to review them? I move to approve the minutes. Anyone in favor? Anyone opposed? I will submit those to our assistant Karen. We posted. We'll move on to the next item, which is our announcements. Any announcements?
I have a few. The first is that this month's conversations with police will be Wednesday, July 19th at 10 a.m. at the police department. It's a monthly listening session. So the is welcome to come. 10 a.m. we're at the police department Wednesday, July 19th. One of the things United Methodist Church and that's what we're hosting July 9th pop-up Narcan training. Participated with the results of the response team. We managed to train 5 people before we got washed out by the storm, but it was attended, in fact, 5 people came, I thought it was great considering what was forecasted to happen. On that note, we are going to start to table football fields and the football fields for the response team. We'll start to table again at the farmers market, starting in August. Members of the team take turns each week tabling, offering up Narcan training there, as well as information literature about substance abuse prevention, harm reduction kits, things like that. So we'll be there from 10 to 1 farmers market. It's down the post office parking lot starting in August and have that through October. And last but not least, 2 most recent hires, Conrad Gonzalez and Anthony Burke, graduated from the police academy last week. Their graduation ceremony was on July 5th, and the next day they started phase 2 of the police academy, which so they're doing that and they'll run through July 20th. At that point, they're going to start the field training, and we hope that they'll be completing that and on our own by the first. It was a nice ceremony they had. So they still have a little bit of work, still a little work ahead of them, but that was really great. So that's all I have for announcements.
When did they start? I was, just said when they started.
So there's in phase 2 right now at the police academy. That will end on July 20th. They'll start field training that following week. And that field training will, hoping that they'll be done with that by, and be ready to go on their own by the 1st. It's about a 12-week field training.
Just tell me all now, just feel to be part of the team.
Yeah, that's what
Just let us know that.
yeah, I'll email you, take the time that work when we're starting the field training, absolutely. And we are going to present them, we're going to have them come take a ceremonial oath of office before the town board at the July 20th town board meeting. That's all.
Thank you, Chief. Next item on our agenda is public input. I don't know where public. Has anything to add?
I'm just gonna, in case anybody who wasn't here last time doesn't know, I'm Stella Weisberg. I'm from the Village Board of Trustees. I'm the liaison to the Police Commission. I used to work on Tuesday nights, so I couldn't make it. I'm not working on Tuesday nights at the moment, so I'm here.
Well,
Thank you for coming. All right, so I think next we're at the addition to our agenda, which is the new discussion, correct?
so yeah, I apologize. We had Ulster BOCES, we had an intern who, I don't know if you're familiar with the Ulster BOCES program, but they, students through Ulster BOCES complete internships in a variety of professions. So we started with, we had a student come on board last year, Derek Lewinsky, through Ulster BOCES, and the goal is to teach them work skills in the profession of their choice. So in this case, Derek had an interest in law enforcement. He was in the criminal justice program at Ulster BOCES, and he completed his education there by through an internship with our agency, where he would primarily be a dispatch and learn how to become a dispatcher. The program allowed him to train while he was attending school, and ultimately, as soon as he completed his education, graduated, he was eligible to be hired as a dispatcher. And so this year, we had another student that was interested in, heard about Derek's experience and was interested in doing the same thing. They came in, they completed the internship. We had completed a background investigation as part of that internship. We do want to move forward with hiring her as a part-time dispatcher, and I wanted to speak to you all about when it may be, at least two of you, if you're interviewing her, we have two of you come in to do that interview. Since now it's really training, it's now an employment position, not an internship position. Hope is that we can be able to have two of you come in, do an interview so you get to meet her, and then as long as everything else is good, the background was something we did as part of the internship, and then we presented to the town board to hire dispatcher's position. So I don't know what
Everybody's schedule is, I think you should just schedule it and try and make it.
Are you trying to do it before the next town board meeting?
if possible, but if not, you know, we can.
And the next town board meeting is July 20th.
No, oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So I thought, but we can also push that if need be, we can do it in August. So, you know, I just didn't know what your preferences were, and something I forgot to include on the agenda item for today. You know, like I said, we can schedule something with her and some dates that work for you. I can send an email out and see what works to you tomorrow.
That's fine. I have some flexibility for the 18th and the 19th, so she's available.
Yeah, if you'd like to get it on board, as soon as possible.
Well, yeah, I think
Are you overloaded and everything starts?
we certainly, yes, we can always use part-time dispatchers. We had one of our part-time dispatchers got sick last week, and we had to do a lot of moving people around, had actually officers, and had some officers cover the desk. So, you know, the more part-time dispatchers that we have, better off we are. But as far as, in this case, even if we had to push it off and put it on the August town board meeting, it's not too much of an issue because she's been field training for a few months already as part of her championship rules and process. It's a great program. Steve Costa, it actually started last year with Esty Lewis, through the process, and now Steve Costa with that program that goes to postseason. Hoping we can find another student interested next year as well. So, I'll email it. Thank you.
Just saying that Steve used to work here.
All right, the next item is discussions regarding the recommendations of the Voluntary Retention Committee. The two topics that were chosen were, one, the reinstatement of the civilian police commission, and the draft regarding racial bias in New Paltz policing. I thought it would be good to sort of go back to the beginning of the recommendations, because we are now a year in of the Civilian Police Commission, and at this point, it'd be a good idea to make sure we are following with the recommendations, or if there's things that we believe need to be adjusted, and we feel we'd be better served a little bit different, or maybe something someone has thoughts on. You know, in the first couple of months, it was just organizational. So I figured I'd
Well,
open that up to,
the recommendation was to establish
correct?
or establish.
And I think they did good in choosing different genders and races and so forth. I note that I don't know if anyone else has done it yet, but I haven't done my ride along yet. And that's something I do want to accomplish, so I was going to reach out to the chief tomorrow in regards to that.
Been lucky, what I understand, it was hundreds of people applying for the position. So it worked out that there's nice balance.
But there were, I mean, it wasn't just 5 of us. Applied. I'm not saying the whole town was interviewing, but
Mentioned the ride along, and I agree with you. Are we going to a website for that, or we go directly to?
Just call me and we'll set you up on dates, and whatever dates and times and work and whatever shifts you want to. Yeah, we'll just give me a call.
and are there any upcoming trainings?
So we just completed the CFR, the medical, and I think we have 2 more cycles of our defensive tactics firearms training. I will email, I think I sent you 1 email on that, I think we scheduled, so I'll double check tomorrow and send you updated dates on those, because I think they're gonna be in August.
Sorry, you wanted to.
Yeah, were we gonna put a timeline on the ride-alongs as, like,
To be accomplished by?
right, you know what I mean, like, so that we have some deliverables that, you know, or that's just an option for. In terms of accountability, that will maybe by a certain time, we'll have at least accomplished the one
Right.
right along, right? So
Right.
that's for 2023 into 2024.
How long is the ride?
However long we want it to be, you know, if you wanted it to be a 4-hour block that encompass, you know, some of the afternoon shift and some over some of the day tours, you know, it's whatever you want.
So I'm just saying that maybe some accountability that, you know, by a certain date, we'll have at least scheduled one ride along, even if it's just for a couple hours, you know. And then moving into, if we're supposed to do it annually, right?
Yeah.
Then we can move into the, you know, new cycle, because we didn't organize till August of 2022. Right, like, so I just wanna make sure that we're doing at least one ride along before.
Correct.
Okay.
So what's everyone's comfort level if they do by September, before our next meeting in September?
So I'm gonna make a motion that we do, the commissioners make at least one ride along by September.
By the September.
By September meeting?
Yeah.
I'll second. Anyone in favor? Anyone opposed to that?
I think that's gonna be difficult by September for me, so I'd like to push that to.
Like to push it till.
And just FYI, I mean, it's not like anyone's gonna get thrown off the commission if they don't do it, but it's just a target.
I was really hoping.
Yeah.
So point of information, it states that, you know, we should, one rail doesn't necessarily say we should all. So if there's
Correct.
if there's a generous amount of us that has the opportunity to do so, we'll fulfill what the requirement is. So is there, you know, if this particular time, Janice get big, because Janice the other things, I don't think that's gonna upset the balance of her commitment to the police commission.
Concur. I concur with that.
I withdraw that.
Before we move on to the next topic, does anyone else want to bring anything else up regarding this topic?
Oh, we,
Are we done with that?
We did,
Yes.
you can withdraw your name.
You withdrew your name.
I understand.
because I didn't hear you say, that's why I thought.
Oh, you were saying, I didn't.
I said, here, when we finish.
Yeah, okay. Next topic was the data regarding racial bias in the New Paltz policing. And that topic was on page 8 of the committee recommendations. When I look at my computer, it's pages on. So the recommendation was the New Paltz Police Department should immediately begin aggregating data based upon race, ethnicity, and language. There is no other means by which we as a community can hold the department accountable for bias or law officers for lack thereof. The recommendation, there's nothing in the report regarding when it should be fulfilled by. I figure it's Chief, you can say where we are in regards to that.
So this is something we started, what I would say, specific to traffic stop data. This is something that we began collecting in August 2022.
Excuse me, Bob, could you speak up? a little?
Sorry, so, in regards to traffic stop data, this was something that was brought up in a meeting with the Reform and Prevention Committee, where they asked me about this type of information. It wasn't something that we had been collecting. I looked into our current record management system, devised a way that we can collect that, collect data on race and gender through vehicle traffic stops. And we began doing that in August of 2020. We published 12 months worth of data in 2021. We continue to collect that data and we continue to publish that data on our website. We're the only agency in Ulster County that is collecting and publishing this data. So what we do is anytime an officer conducts a vehicle and traffic stop, they will fill out an incident supplemental report, and in that incident supplemental will be the operator's name, date of birth, whatever information is available on their driver's license. It will also, the officer will make a note what they observe to be the operator's race and gender. We will not ask somebody what their race or gender is, and it's based solely upon observation. And so there are limits, obviously limitations to the information that we're collecting, because we don't know for certain, but it's the best. It's the best data that we have related to that. In terms of arrests, we collect that data. Collect the data in terms of race, gender, of individuals that we take into custody. Same thing with use of force. We collect that data and we publish that data. So we've been publishing all of that information in our annual report since early 2021. So we do an end of year report, and so starting the end of year report in 2020, we'll be able to publish that data as well and making that publicly available to people. In terms of the traffic stop data, there are some limitations. We can only collect the information that the record management system allows us to collect. So language is not something that we can collect on vehicle and traffic stops. Ethnicity is not something we can collect on vehicle and traffic stops. So we're limited to just race and gender based upon the data, data boxes that we're able to drop down that are available to us. One of the things I've said, I said to the prevention committee, to town board, and they were acting as a police commission, I said publicly, is I appreciate the need for this data. Absolutely glad that's something that the Reform and Reinvention Committee picked up. I'm proud that we're the only agency in this county doing it. But I still, I guess the hard part for me to reconcile is, the state wanted this data. The state get this data if they really want to. Populate this information on a driver's license without it being on the license in and of itself. And when we scan those licenses, that data would be collected, and then each agency could run a year-end report documenting all of that information. I think it was somewhat not speaking to the Reform and Prevention Committee, but speaking to the state, in particular the governor at the time, saying that the police, need to collect this data, well, you have ways of collecting that data. But they chose not to, and so this is the solution that we came up with, and, as I said, we publish it, it's there, it's available on our website. And it's also something that we review regularly. What the data we collect when it comes to arrests, use force, traffic stops, that informs our training, that informs our policy. We don't just collect it and then publish it and not, review it. We look at all of this information and we look at it to see, do we need to make adjustments? And if so, what are those adjustments? What are we doing well? What can we do better? What are we doing absolutely wrong? So you use this information to help better inform our policies and judgments.
Question?
So you don't think there's anything we can ask for or?
No, I mean, I would say if you want to look at what we are publishing, on our, our annual reports and what we publish on our traffic stop data. Certainly ask, that some of it is limited in that we don't have control over the records management system, it's a county system. So I know it's, one of the things that has been discussed, Tom had mentioned several times, was tracking, searches on vehicle traffic. We don't have a way of doing that. There's no box to check. You search a car, you search, so we are somewhat constrained with using the system that we currently have.
Is it just built to add something like that to the system?
I would assume you could build anything, but we don't control that. It's county, we use the county system.
So you input into this county system, but you don't take supplemental records, individual records for the department itself?
No, everything is computerized. So the way we were able to track our vehicle and traffic stop data is, well, we did this previously, but so the officers, as I said, they complete this incident supplemental. So now, with that incident supplemental, they're entering in the operator's information from the driver's license. They're also indicating their observations of race and gender of the operator in there. So once that, they populate that information, then we can draw it out. The only way you can do that is creating this incident supplemental. And it's a free-flowing form. So there's a narrative. So in the narrative section is where the officer indicates they give a warning. What did they stop the vehicle for? Did they issue a UTT? Or did they issue a business card? Or their body camera factory? Those are the things, that's free-flowing information. The only way to do that is to look at every incident supplemental and then, by hand try to figure that out. We don't have the ability to do that.
So I have two things. For quality assurances purposes, every traffic stop is being recorded. Or would you, 80% of the traffic stops are being recorded? Like, what would you say that the officers are doing in terms of compliance with that recommendation? Is it 100%?
It's, I would say the 90s, you could actually go back, look and see how somebody feels like populated that was posted on, you see, more and more. Do I think it's 80 to 90% or 80 to 100% compliance? Absolutely. I think our officers are getting that information, they're documenting that information, and I think that they're giving out a business card or a UTT on their traffic stops. When we, for compliance purposes, we review those incident supplementals. We review body camera and in-car camera videos. Every sergeant is tasked with doing at least 2 videos a week, and making notes on, just noting, was that officer in compliance? Were there any issues? If there were issues on that vehicle or traffic stop or whatever it is that they're doing, what corrective action, are they taking to address those issues? But yeah, as a whole, I think that, there's a lot of compliance with it. Like anything else, safety stops, take 2 things, change the way things are. But I think as a whole, they're doing what we're asking them to do, and like I said, we're publishing that information there. But there are also some issues in the system, so if you start doing you go on our website and you see the traffic stop data, there are sometimes duplicate entries for vehicle traffic stop, why that's happening, I just don't know, so.
Did you fix? So,
Well, and I was, the other part of that was the comment, especially in all cases of use of force. Would you say that the officers are 100%
Oh, yeah.
tracking accuracy and use of force? So that would be at least a quality measure.
When we do our, can we take a look at the system and see like how it works? Yes. I don't have any questions necessarily right now, because I have to see how it works before I can, make any kind of educated conversation regarding it.
And if you've been doing it since 2020, right, we have some data in terms of the number of traffic stops with the, other than duplicates. Would there be a way, maybe moving forward, that we could get some quality measures in terms of the number of?
You can look at it, that information is on our website now, and you can pull the last 2 years worth of traffic stop data and see where it's at.
But that's only if they filled out the incident, it's supplemental incident. If they didn't do it, we wouldn't know it. So that was
Well,
like,
yes, you would, because there'd be blanks on there'd be blanks in the Excel spreadsheet.
okay, gotcha.
have you noticed any trends or concerns having 2 years worth of data?
No, I mean, you know, it's just watching, just to make sure, but nothing, with significant red flags. I think, for the most part, no, I see it. And part of it is then, you have to look at also, once you have data, you have to peel back, like, what does that mean? So for example, we had a use of force 2 years ago, that resulted in 12 officers' defensive action reports to be filed. Why? Because you had 5 people in the car. And I had 2 officers with their firearms. This was an individual who was in possession of a firearm. We had removed all of the occupants of the vehicle out of their gun. So I had 2 officers who had their firearm out. All 5 of those individuals. That's 10 reports right there. And then I had another officer who had a less lethal out, or excuse me, a taser out, or just out of their holster, while 2 of the 5 were being removed. So there's 12 defensive action reports. 4 of the individuals in that vehicle were black, 1 was white. So when you look at the data and the numbers, you have to peel back and say, what is it that we're really seeing here? So that's what I do as a lieutenant does. That's what especially when we talk about use of force. We break it down by incident. So when you see my report, it'll say 1 incident, 2 reports filed. Or and sometimes those 2 reports are one individual. So that's one of the things when we talk about data, I look at to see it's not just the sheer numbers that we're seeing, but what is happening in that specific incident.
I believe Tara's question included the body cam percentages, often in your range was like 80 to 90 or 90 to 100. Give us reasons why they will not be operating or not.
I'm closer to 100%. When can I guarantee you that every, are there times where a camera may not be on? There may be, and there could be a malfunction, and we've had those.
Okay.
Those are the exceptions, not the rule, but I can't say anything 100, I'm not.
I don't have that. I just wanted to understand why that was a discrepancy.
But just it's my uncomfortable, it's my not being comfortable saying, I can guarantee you 100% of the time that cameras are always in action because we've had malfunctions. We've had instances where, in particular use of force where physical confrontation is taking place, the camera gets knocked off, the camera gets, gets hit in the center and it gets deactivated. So do I think that officers are not employing their cameras intentionally? No. we're at a point now with these officers, our officers see reports of having these, it's should be measured for them and fully documents, you know, the whole context of interaction. And it's just my laziness in saying 100%.
Yeah.
All right, Chief, if you're ready, we can move on to the monthly reports.
Okay. So we had one personnel complaint that we'll do in a little while. We had 5 commendations, 2 calls for service involving officer defensive action, and put a new patrol vehicle in service before in June as well. So the first commendation is for Officer Michael Vespi. This individual sent a card. Officer Vespi just wanted to thank him. Just to let me know that they had met Officer Vespi during the weekend, whether it was Memorial Day weekend, whether it was the New Falls. He was helpful to them. Found him to be professional, pleasant, and just an all-around good officer. And just wanted to thank us for all we do. The next commendation was for Officer Childs. This is something from a welfare check. This individual just wanted to thank Officer Childs for his assistance during the welfare check, and especially for the follow-up call related to that call for service. And as a result of all that, the individual was able to know that their loved one was okay, and just wanted to thank and express their gratitude for what he did that day. The next is a letter to the department wanting to thank us for our participation in the 2023 Touch a Truck event that was on June 4th, 2022 over at Ulster County Fairgrounds. It was a huge success. Officer Hills was out there for the day, and it was a huge success out there. The next commendation is for Officer Claude. Wanting to thank her for her efforts on the disabled vehicle, going above and beyond the fact that it got down on the ground and ended up having to remove it, pedestrian remove crossing sign in front of the vehicle. While traffic was there, just wanted to thank her for helping out that day. Just saying she's a fantastic officer, just wanted to make sure she got recognition she deserves. And the last commendation is for Officer Kraus. Just wanted to thank him for the job he did in handling traffic control. And we had that wires pulled down on Cherry Hill and Main Street a few weeks ago. It's out there, system traffic. We just want to thank him for his efforts. Questions? So we had 2 calls for service involving defensive action. The first one to review, so the incident occurred on June 10th, 2023 at about 9:54 in the morning on the Empire State Trail, or in the O'Connell Lodge parking lot in the Empire State Trail. The individual involved here was a 39-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall, 150 pounds, large build, black and Hispanic. Ultimately, were charged with possession of a controlled substance. So in this case, 2 reports were filed, both documenting the unholstering of a firearm. We responded to a 911 call at the O'Connell Lodge reporting a man with a gun. Particulars that were given to the responding officers was that there was a dispute. The black male had brandished a handgun and was seen leaving the office, maybe tell office. Officers that arrived on the scene witnesses pointed out, the individual who was on the rail trail, on the Empire State Trail, Officer Kraus and Officer Marsh and Sergeant Halsted responded down there. They were able to locate an individual, and the individual in question, they detained him. Officers had unholstered their firearms, keeping it down below ready, just given the nature of the call. And the individual complied with all verbal direction, and once they were able to determine that the individual was not armed, holstered, actually the firearm holstered, and they continued their investigation without incident. The individual, as I said, was eventually charged for co-possession of controlled substance. Based upon the investigation, the officer's actions were found to be in compliance with department policy and training. Any questions about that? Next incident, defensive action occurred on June 28, 2023. At about 12:56 in the morning, near 91 Main Street, Lingees. The individual involved here is a 19-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall, 5 pounds, small build, white Hispanic. Charged with disorderly conduct, possession of a forged instrument, and resisting arrest. On defensive action, the report was filed documenting takedown. Officer was working with close detail, observed this individual committing a violation offense. They identified themselves as a police officer. The subject was not compliant with verbal direction and also physically struggled. Which point the officer used the leg sweep to take that individual down to the ground, cuffed without further incident. The individual was transported back to the station, processed, and released on the parents. Based upon the investigation, the officer's actions were found to be within department policy and consistent with the training. Questions on that? Those were the highlights for this month's report.
At this point, to executive session. A second. All right, we're going to go into executive session. It's now 7:52.
I will use this and turn off.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Opposed? Alright, Mr. Ford had to leave because there was no action taken during the executive session. At this point in time, there is nothing else on our agenda. Unless anyone has any last thoughts.
I just have one announcement that I forgot, just so you're aware, Officer G. Bunce will be retiring. His last day of work is Saturday, July 22nd, and he's going to walk out ceremony.
When?
3 P.M.,
What day?
July 22nd. 3 P.M., July 22nd.
Second.
Saturday.
Saturday.
We're making the guy work a Saturday.
He makes it, not bad. I'm retired, I have a little flexibility, so he's going with Saturday.
All right.
July 22nd.
Yeah.
That's at the department.
That's a good day. Yeah, that's what happened with the gyms.
3, right?
Yep, we're real.
To adjourn next session, 8:41 PM.
Second. Or am I making the motion?
No.
Actually, so, second. All right, we're done. Thank you. Thank you, public.
Good night. Have a good month.
3 o'clock.
Sign your pictures from the Galapagos.
Holy shit, right?